Hey everybody, how you doing? I have worked a long time on this, relatively speaking, compared to my other videos, and some of those I worked on quite a while, but this one even longer because it involves a brand new stadium financing structure. Not brand new in that it's, how do I say, uh, oh, excuse me. It's not brand new in the case of, how do I say, hold on a second. It's not brand new in the case of. It's not brand new in the case of well, it has never been done before, so I shouldn't say that. It's complex, and compared to the other types of or versions of the kind of financing I'm about to present, this is far more complex. But let me explain to you what the situation is so you can get a handle on it. The main problem is that for quite some time, the city of Nashville and the county of Davidson have spent upwards of $4 million a year or more in paying for Nissan Stadium, not including upkeep. And it was getting to the point where it was becoming a money pit. So, to make a long story short, there became a kind of a mix of opportunities that led to the building of a new stadium with the idea that, hey, instead of Nashville spending this money out of its general fund, it can create a whole new structure where it doesn't do that. And the stadium literally pays for itself. Yet Nashville serves as the backstop, providing the general fund only in instances where, God forbid, there's not enough revenue for the bonds to be paid off. That was the objective behind the establishment of this new stadium from a financing standpoint. And if you think about it, those of you who are A's fans, those of you who are Raiders fans, those of you who are fans of the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, it is the direct opposite of how the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority and the city of Oakland, the county of Alligient, have handled the problem with the Coliseum. The Coliseum is profitable, yes, but it also is the victim of many millions of dollars in deferred maintenance. In other words, it looks like crap, but instead of paying to upgrade it so that it doesn't, a lot of repairs and fixes and upgrades have gone undone. That's why you get these stories of everything from animals in the locker room to water flows and floods and everything else. And it's only going to get worse as the sea level rise problem down there in East Oakland worsens to what some people call the 2050 event. Some others refer to the 2030 event, where you've got, on a bad day of rain, water that rushes up and it's 72 inches into the air. So one of those events nearly happened 2 years ago. Now, rather than say, hey, you know what, here's why we need a new facility, the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda have been content to literally allow their current facility to decay. That's the difference. That is the difference that has to be understood here. And that's the difference that has to be appreciated when you're talking about these matters of the Coliseum versus what's going on with Tennessee. It's a big and vast difference. Now, what I did to put more of a light on what Tennessee is doing is I put together a spreadsheet, and it looks like this. It's very, you want to say it's crude, okay, I'll accept that. Okay, fine. If you want to be that way, cool. But here it is. That's it. And because of its size, I'm going to give it a whole screen. You don't necessarily have to see my face, but you can hear me. But now I think I'll keep myself right over here. Here, okay? There's also a post that has this information in it at zinireport.com. It's the latest article, zinireport.com. But what you see here are 4 different bond issues. And as I said before, 2 of them are taxable. The Series A 2023 bonds are tax exempt issues, as are the Series B bonds, and they have something called the Series AB bonds. The Series A bonds are 344,940,000. The Series B bonds are 84,925,000. The Series C 2023 bonds are 56,630,000, and the Series D bonds are 217,365,000. And so those bonds are used so that the tax exempt bonds are paid off by a combination of the following revenues: a 1% hotel tax, not unlike the Raiders Allegiant Stadium, which had an 88/100 and 1%. Keep that in mind, because if Allegiant Stadium had a 1% bond stadium tax, it would not have realized the revenue problems it did when the pandemic hit, let alone the revenue problems that it has now. Another story. Now, the other identified revenue stream comes from ticket tax and another for sales taxes on items sold within and around the stadium. And then there's something called the water and sewer pilot revenues, which is a holdover from Nissan Stadium. And that came into the tune of roughly $4 million per year and is projected to go up. So those are the revenue streams that are pledged to retire the taxable bonds, the municipal bonds. Now, the ones that are not taxed are paid by a trust fund. This is how the bond issue is written. It's a 562-page preliminary document that they're still working on. They haven't even gotten to the point where they've figured out the debt service schedule yet. I have a copy of the document myself. And it in detail lays out not just the financing, but presents such documents as the Convention Sports and Leisure market study for the area, justifying the decision to levy the taxes in the way that they're going to be levying them. And in all, it's a cake of funds. Unlike Las Vegas Stadium, the Las Vegas Stadium was its own cake, but of a different kind, because it only involved one public entity, really, and that was Clark County. This involves 2: the state of Tennessee and the city of Nashville. Thus, the Stadium Authority, as the bond issues that I referred to, that's $760 million total in terms of the authority's contributions. $703,860,000 are bonds, and then there's on that for that side, and then there's the Stadco. Stadco is where we talk about how similar, and I made a mistake here because I said the 703,860,000 bonds are all on the side of the taxable ones, and that's not true. The 217 million are actually the funds, and that where the trust fund pays for that. So I just want to make that clear. Now, back to the layer cake. You have 840 million from Stadco. Now, what is Stadco? Stadco is the latest iteration of Stadco means Stadium Corporation. Stadco. It really is a limited liability corporation started by the team itself. So here is the model that the Raiders have used in Allegiant Stadium before the Raiders, the 49ers at Levi Stadium, the Rams at SoFi with some modifications, the Atlanta Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as well, to name the most notable examples in the National Football League. Now, there's some other examples, like let's take that for New Orleans, that have more of the old style where the general fund is paying into the system setup. And I anticipate at some point that will change, if not for this refurbishment. I haven't had a chance to look at how they square the circle of financing that yet, but I will. Now, regarding Tennessee, the idea, again, is to create this financing system wherein the stadium renovations can pay for themselves, but unique in this entire industry of models of this type, the Stadco model, you have the state of Tennessee putting up 500 million. So that's 500 million from the state of Tennessee. So you've got the Stadium Authority, which is the Metropolitan Nashville Stadium Authority, putting up 760 million out of a combination of funds. You've got 840 million from Stadco, which is really the Tennessee Titans. And that's a combination of PSL revenues, NFL G4 loans, and other pledged revenues. Then you have the $500 million from the state of Tennessee. Now, what does that equal together? That equals the cost to build the new stadium. That's $2.1 billion. So that's where that lays out. And there is a clause in the book that says that the city of Nashville, I'm paraphrasing what it reads, but it's the same sentiment, must make all effort to assist the Stadco in making certain that it meets its obligations. That is in writing. Folks, between that and the other backstops in place that fall on public money, you could not get this deal through any place else other than Tennessee. It never happened in California and probably never will happen in California. It didn't happen in Las Vegas. In fact, what Mark Davis got 6 years before was a miracle, considering how Las Vegas was beginning to change politically at that time. But what Tennessee did is the classic marriage of city and county wanting to build a giant edifice that celebrates its culture and values. And that's Tennessee Stadium. I have never seen this kind of expression of appreciation and love for a deal as I have coming out of Tennessee. Normally you hear, like, say, in the Atlanta parlance, Atlanta had the same structure with the Georgia World Congress Authority owning Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and yet Stadco being the Atlanta Falcons, which means that in these situations, Stadco does not pay a property tax. Why? Very simple. They do not own the stadium. But what they enjoy because of the setup is a kind of a relief from paying on insurance costs and other insurance problems that would occur at that level. Now, it doesn't mean that Stadco is saved from such matters as slip and falls. In fact, there is a lawsuit going around involving a Broncos linebacker that could really test the Stadco model if it becomes a class action lawsuit. Watch out for it, okay? But the bottom line is that this model exists with Stadco, not just for those protections, but the real reason it's there is so that in serving as Stadco, the manager of the facility, the team gets to have all the revenues from events and concessions and everything and keep it and use it for its own purposes, like, managing of the facility and so on, but also going into, to a degree, the operation of the team itself. That possibility has always been there because of its design. It's a reflection overall of the fact that NFL teams to operate an NFL team is an expensive affair. I mean, primarily that because of player costs, which are generally covered by media rights, but you have other services that go with the administering of a facilities for those players, which come with their own expense. And so and then of course, there's the front office and the buildings and all that go with that. So it's no mean trick to finance the operation of an NFL organization anymore. And the primary reason for that is the elevated visibility of the game. And with that, the amount of money that players can potentially make in football. Even the lower rung of players are exceptionally well paid by standard American comparisons. So that's what's driven this tremendous growth, and so, but the bottom line, however, for all of this to keep in mind is that you're looking at in this a financial construct that reflects the desire of the state of Tennessee in particular to have and realize a successful new stadium project for the Titans in Nashville. That is loud and clear. It comes out in supporting documents I've read and opinion editorial pieces. It comes out all over. They want this to work. They really do. Now, what are the lessons here for Oakland? Simple process. While Oakland was quite literally pulling the wool over the A's eyes and not even beginning to attend itself to the creation of the enhanced infrastructure financing district, so use tax increment financing, the minders in Nashville and the state of Tennessee were building the next new stadium in the NFL family. And their pre-development work was maybe 2 years, and it was done comparatively quietly. Protests, nah. Screamings from Mau talking about no public money, nah. Nothing. Okay? And they're on their way to break ground in weeks. This is about implementation. This is about getting things done. This is about building for the community. This is about building to improve your city. These abouts are seemingly lost on the city of Oakland, but not other places in the country. It's not that Oakland can't get teams back, but Oakland is too busy repeating those actions that cause it to fail to begin with. The A's are gone. Making them pay some exorbitant tax like give me this or give me that on the way out the door is not going to change that fact. Indeed, it may very well hasten it. The people who run this now, Mayor Tao, is completely inexperienced at this, and so are her advocates. They just want blood. And what they're going to get is basically a fiscal hemorrhaging from the city of Oakland itself, because this group and this ideology is not about building or running cities. It is about taking out its own anger and yayas. I said it just like that. Oakland deserves better. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com, and that ends this broadcast. See ya.